Colleague Imran Garda speaking with US Senator Lindsey Graham. Let's go to London. Kamal Alam is a visiting fellow with the Royal United Services Institute. Kamal, thank you for your time. First of all, why are 2,000 American troops so critical to what's happening in Syria at the moment?
I think in the overall strategy, the 2,000 US troops are not that critical to Syria. America has very little relevance left in Syria. It's been like that for more than a year. It's more of a nuisance. They're not actually doing much fighting. They are there to train or advise YPG, which is a major problem for Turkey, as we've just seen in the interview, but it's also a major problem for the Syrian government and the Russians. So overall, those 2,000 US soldiers are not achieving anything. They're causing problems. And I think Trump's decision to withdraw, if that does happen, serves everyone's interest.
What do you make of these figures? These are the numbers of US airstrikes in Syria per month starting from August. We have 65, and then month by month we go to 214, 481, 634, last month 939, January on pace for 1,300 American airstrikes. Is that Donald Trump's future strategy now?
I think so. It's a similar strategy that the US is doing in Afghanistan as well. They're dropping a lot of bombs there, but on the ground that hasn't shown much result. Similar in Syria, as you can do airstrikes, but the actual facts on the ground are very different. The Syrian government is gaining ground. It's the Russians, the Turkish government and the Iranians that have come into the equation as far as the end game in Syria goes. So the airstrikes are there as I think it's a way to please the Americans that they're relevant, but it doesn't really lead to anything as far as Syria's crisis goes.
How difficult is the Turkish challenge when it accepts responsibility, it says, once American troops withdraw from Syria, that it will take up the mantle of destroying Daesh, while at the same time having to fight other terror groups, like, for example, if the YPG presents a security threat to Turkey, of course, Turkey says it will have no option. It will have to attack that group as well.
So I think if you look at the last 2 years, Turkey's already taken the lead as far as operations in northern Syria go. They've done a very good job in clearing areas, as well as, of course, for the last 7 years, housing millions of refugees. So as far as stabilization operations go and counterinsurgency goes, the Turkish army are well equipped to do this. And as I said, the way the Turkish government have been working with the Russian and the Iranian government is the way forward. The Americans leaving Syria does not create a vacuum at all. The Americans were there for a very narrow self-purpose and in the overall fight against ISIS. And I think Imran Garda touched upon that. There have been other people fighting ISIS. The Syrian governments have been fighting them, Hezbollah, the Russians and the Turkish government. So the actual role of the US in Syria has been very limited. I think in Iraq it's a different story. America took a lead in Iraq because they had more at stake in Iraq. But in Syria, the US had very little relevance. You can keep 2,000 troops, you can do the airstrikes, but there's very little they control on the ground. And the people they did back, the YPG, of course, are a threat to Turkish national security. And Senator Graham hit the nail on the head. There is confusion in the US. He used the word dumb 3 times. And I think there's been, that's what's happening in the US at the moment. There is no cohesion of strategy. Trump wants one thing, the Pentagon wants something else. Senator Graham can go back and take the message from Turkey, but whether anyone listens to it is another question.
Kamal, really appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Kamal Alam from the Royal United Services Institute.